Sean Long's back to his best, but there'll be no international comeback. Instead, he wants to send Daniel Anderson off with more trophies come the end of 2008. They all want to impress Mick Potter, who'll be in the Saints' hot seat next year, and what a job he's done with men like Clint Greenshields. But can they win at Saints for the first time? And a funny old night coming up for Mick Potter. Whatever happens, it'll be bittersweet. Catalan Dragons aim to cement second place in the table and arrive on the back of a club record 8 Super League games unbeaten. Well, the story of the weekend so far, big wins last night for Leeds against previously informed Wakefield and for Wigan against Warrington. And so the reigning champions now have a 7-point lead at the top of the table. It will be reduced tonight no matter who wins here. Third entertains second right now. Warrington cling on to their place inside the playoff places for the time being. Wigan have put themselves back in contention. Well, round 14 of the Engage Super League concludes on Sunday. Harlequins against Hull FC, Huddersfield, Hull KR. They both kick off at 3 o'clock, and Castleford Bradford 30 minutes later. Well, let's take a look at the way the two teams line up here. And the Saints have got Wellens at full-back, then the familiar lineup of Gardner, Gidley, Tallow and Melly, Price and Long. The forwards, Kalas, Cunningham and Graham, Gilmore, Flannery and Wilkin at loose forward. And on the bench, Roby, Bennett, Hargreaves and Clough. No Mari Farsavalou, he's out injured. The coach is Daniel Anderson. For Catalan Dragons, Greenshields at full-back, Pello, Wilson, Mogg and Katabi, Bosk and the skipper, Maguire. The forwards, Ferriol, Gorel and Chan, Ragan, Croker and Muniz. And on the bench, Gisay, Carlo, Fakir and Casti. And the coach is Mick Potter. Well, St Helens fans were out in force earlier today to add support to the club's appeal for planning permission for a new stadium. Hundreds of them marched through the town centre before arriving here just before kick-off. The chief executive, Tony Colquitt, joined the marchers, as did the club chairman, Eamon McManus, who writes in today's programme that when the plans go before the town council on Tuesday next week, it's a key date in the history of both the club and the town of St Helens. They desperately need a new stadium for this team of all talents. They remain unbeaten at home against the Catalan Dragons, but they have lost to them 3 times away from home. The Dragons arrive on the back of that club record unbeaten Super League sequence of 8 games. Mick Potter says despite the distraction and the allure of the St Helens job next year for him, it's all about bowing out of the south of France in style. The Dragons lost in the cup at Bradford last week, but they are more than capable of making the playoffs for the first time ever. St Helens have won 5 league and cup games in a row. The winners here will be confirmed in second place in the table tonight. They've topped 50 points against Catalan Dragons in all of their previous 3 home meetings, but it's been much different across the channel where they've lost 3 times. These St Helens supporters have cheered their team to become league leaders each of the previous 3 years under Daniel Anderson, but they're doing it tough in 2008. They'd lost 5 of the first 10, but they now look on a roll. 5 wins, 3rd in the table, and they're in the last 8 of the cup, the Challenge Cup that they've won for the past 2 years. And those pieces of papers that the patrons of the main stand on the opposite side of the ground to us are holding is simply a message to the local town council, and on those pieces of white paper it says vote yes, a reference to their planning permission for this new stadium that the club desperately needs. So the support added and banners all over the place about the new stadium. Now we get on with the job under the referee Phil Bentham of winning or losing this game. Steve-O, Catalan Dragons arriving here second in the table. Amazing.
It is amazing, but even their coach, Mick Potter, has made it quite clear that they're really not clicking over the last 2 games. Their defence has been a little bit off mark, and I must say, against the Saints outfit that really are back to their best. You talk about a new super stadium. They certainly need it for the Saints. The way that they've been playing superb rugby league football. It should be an exciting game, mainly due to the fact that there's plenty of quality in the French outfit too.
Thomas Boss gets us underway. The ball bobbling its way all along the ground, and Adi Gardner seemed to have to wait an eternity to pick that up. And the chase was led by John Wilson, who is back in the side tonight for the Catalan Dragons. St Helens in possession with Jason Kalis.
The Catalans really have got to show up in the forwards. They've got to try to take control. They can't allow the big fellas like James Graham, Kalis and Cunningham to take control out there. And you'll see some pretty rugged tackling by the French outfit.
Here's Graham now. Gets the ball away to Wellens. That's the last tackle, and St Helens still midway inside their own half of the field as the kick comes in from Sean Long. Good kick, though, behind Katabi. And Katabi will pick it up very close to his own try line. Good chase, led by Lee Gilmore.
Tremendous kick by Sean Long. He anticipated that, and you could see that he jumped into dummy half position, and rather surprisingly, and it will be a trouble for Mick Potter, the Catalans coach, is that they allowed Long all the time in the world. They've got to get to him as quickly as possible. It was a beautiful kick downfield.
Second in the table, the Catalan Dragons, yet remarkably they have a negative points difference against their name. But all the games that they've played this season so far have been pretty close run affairs. Let's go down to the sideline. An early bit of news from Bill Arthur.
Eddie, the Catalan Dragons have spent a lot of the last few weeks on the road, going backwards and forwards between Perpignan and Britain. They're pretty weary travellers. They've just had 4 days at home this week after their cup defeat in Bradford to get things sorted, and back on the road again for this one. But surprisingly, they reckon it's been one of the best weeks of preparation they've had ahead of a game. Everybody in good form for this. And the interesting thing that the Catalans acknowledge is that when they have managed to beat Saints back in their place, Cunningham and Long have generally been absent, and those are the 2 players they're worried about tonight.
Well, here comes St Helens now in the shape of Kalis, and he dumps it down into the arms of James Graham, who did well to hang on to that ball. That's the last tackle, this set of 6 for the Saints. 20 metres away, Cunningham has a little scampering run, finds Long, a nice little kick in behind the defence. Flannery with the first try. Chris Flannery, 2.5 minutes on the clock. St Helens up and running, and it was the Cunningham-Long combination that set that up, and Chris Flannery comes up with his 3rd try of the campaign in the best form since coming to Super League this year. Chris Flannery
Certainly in top form, and he read this well. Sean Long in magnificent form of late, and the loose forward Flannery knew exactly where this was going to go. He held himself back. He's one of the most improved in Super League in my mind, is this fella Flannery. Anticipation. Oh, that's tremendous stuff. What a start. We said that the Catalans really had to get their defensive qualities on song tonight, and the way that he just ghosted through there was no one at home when Long put the kick through.
27 years of age, Chris Flannery. He's played 10 times for Queensland in state of origin back home in Australia, and this year on top of his game, as is this fellow at the moment, Sean Long. That's right, hat-trick against Wigan in Cardiff, remember, his first for 5 years, but he's missed that kick. 4-0 Saints.
An amazing kick from this fella, but you can see there on the screen that where is the cover defence? Where's it coming away? Where's the fullback Greenshields? Out of position. Not the good start for Mick Potter. An unusual day for him, Eddie.
I don't think I've seen a more impressive opening 2.5 minutes than St Helens put on show there. Particularly James Graham and Jason Kalis, able to play out the line, even passing before the line. They have looked so strong, and to win this competition after the 27 rounds of the playoffs, to ultimately get to the grand final, I think fundamentally, Eddie, you need the best 2 front rowers in the competition, and on show here tonight we perhaps have that.
Well, Catalan Dragons have got 4 forwards on the bench. They know that they will have to fight muscle with speed and power against St Helens. You can't lie down and let St Helens play. This is Kalis again. That's the last tackle. Cunningham feeds it back to Price, and Price with the long kick downfield. There is Green Shields, the fullback, catching it on the fly, beginning the counter. An excellent tackle from Kieran Cunningham and John Wilkin.
It's a big call, that Phil, about Kalis and Graham, because this Catalan team, they build the whole game about the go forward and the introduction of Carlo and Fakir. But to beat this St Helens team, you've really got to cut them down. You've got to slow down the play of the ball, because second phase rugby league is what they're all about. And they're just putting themselves under so much pressure. That ball just wasn't on from Adam Mogg then.
No, not the best from Adam Mogg. He's very tight to the touchline anyway. There was no chance for Yunus Katabi to get to that. Just flew out. And St Helens will have the head and feet at the scrum.
He's been tremendous over the past couple of seasons, and the Adam Mogg, but I must say, if he has a negative to his game, it's the fact that he often passes a ball without even looking into the area where it should be going. Can confuse the defence at times, but can also do the same for your own player.
Here's the try scorer, Chris Flannery. Hounded down by Alex Chan and John Wilson, who also got the first tackle in this set of 6. This is Gilmore. Gilmore plays the ball to Cunningham. Plenty of white jerseys there in support. Here is James Graham again. Tries to evade the tackle of Muniz, but the referee has pinged Catalan Dragons here for being offside at the play of the ball, bang in front of the sticks.
Well, normally you'd go for the 2. It's an easy penalty, but they'll go for the tap.
Well, that's St Helens. That's the way they play, and this is Kalis. Backing themselves not to bother with the 2 points, but to go for the throat and get the 6. It's Cunningham, comes to Long, he stops, and he waits, and he kicks behind Katabi, or at least he tried to, but it wasn't the best kick. And the gamble has not come off on that occasion.
Well, he got put down into a cul-de-sac, didn't it? There was nowhere to go. Instead of taking the tackle, kicking early in the tackle count, I mean, manna from heaven for the French outfit. They were under the rack.
Wait, go.
Leon Price with the tackling there. Quick play of the ball, and this is Gorel.
Very difficult to get through the Saints defence. You'll see them 4 or 5 players out, coming very, very quickly.
Deep kick downfield, but it's easy from the boot of Maguire into the arms of Paul Wellens. Wellens needing a couple of tries for a career 150. He got 4 tries in the 53-10 win here against the Catalan Dragons last year, so we could be celebrating tonight. Here's another penalty for offside against the Catalan Dragons.
To be fair to the official, Phil Bentham, he was shouting at the Catalan side, and you can see there were 4 or 5 never made any attempt to get back the required 10.
Phil Bentham, who was the video referee last night at Wigan against Warrington.
A bit controversial as well.
Yes, he was, certainly for one of the calls in the first half against Warrington. But all that is in the past. This is the present, and it's St Helens in possession with Leon Price. He goes wide and finds Gidley. Gidley shrugs aside one challenge, passes the ball forward into the arms of Gardner.
Bit of a problem in the back play. Leal Gilmore, he caught a knock in the resulting tackle. A little bit slack play there by Saints. Quite often when a side gets off to a flying start, they just go to sleep somewhat. And I get that impression that's the case here. Daniel Anderson, the coach, will be getting the message out and say, hey, come on, fellas. Concentrate. Keep it up.
Even though St Helens are third and Catalan Dragons second, St Helens overwhelming favourites to win tonight for Daniel Anderson, because the bookies have them anything between 18 and 20-point favourites, which is a massive, massive gap when you think that they are second and third in the table, and Saints are in third.
I think you've got to look at the form, Eddie. As I mentioned before, you know, Catalans, they've struggled over the last 2 weeks. They're really, okay, they sneaked to win against the Harlequins when they really were outplayed throughout the nearly full 80 minutes. Okay, they scored in the last final minute to snatch that game, but they are being off form. Simple.
I think the bookmakers, Eddie, are aware of the fact that when Saints have played Catalan here, they've scored at least 50 points on 3 occasions. It's hard to see Catalan coming up with more than 20 or 30, such as in St Helens' defence in their recent performances. So you can understand why the bookmakers have given them that sort of advantage.
Thomas Bosk's kick just too deep. Here's another penalty for offside against Jason Croker. He never retreated the 10 metres as St Helens restarted with that tap on the 20.
Lack of discipline. They're just not talking to each other. And you can see as soon as they had the tap, they were 4 or 5, just taking a step in front.
And that's where Catalan really let themselves down. They've given away more penalties than any other team in Super League, and you can't give field position to St Helens. Again, they were up there then on the 20. Now they're straight attacking Catalan in their own half. Got to improve that discipline.
Graham will drive the ball forward here for St Helens on the first tackle this latest set of 6. And Cunningham waits, hunched shoulders, shows it to Kalis, gives it short, finds Wilkin. There were 3 waiting for him. Alex Chan was 1 and David Ferriol was the other. Cunningham again to Long quickly and then wide to Price. Cunningham again. He's at the heart and the hub of everything that St Helens does. Kieran Cunningham. There he is again. Probably the most important cog in the St Helens wheel in many people's view. That's a short ball from Long. There's Kieran Cunningham scampering in again. Graham plays the ball to him. Long with an angled kick. Well, there are plenty of red jerseys there. One of them was John Wilson, back in the side tonight. Played in the first 9. 2 of his last 3 appearances at standoff, but tonight Wilson is back in the centres.
And that'll be a relief for their coach, Mick Potter, mainly due to the fact he's very solid in defence. We saw earlier, just before he defused that high bomb, is that Wilson put on a really big and low hit on the big runner, Chris Flannery, out wide. Interesting to see how Daniel Anderson has the loose forward, running on that right-hand side, aimed at the defensive line of John Wilson.
2 balls on the field, so the referee Phil Bentham wants one of them cleared off before Alex Chan plays this ball, which he does now. This is Casey Maguire. Here is Ferriol. He finds Croker. Jason Croker surrounded. Oh, the ball has been coughed up almost. It went backwards. It's a good decision that from Phil Bentham. And here is Yunus Katabi. Maguire, infielder goes to Ferriol again, who tries to put his shoulder to the wheel, but Cunningham is there waiting for him. Gorrell to Maguire. Maguire then gives it to Thomas Bosk. He's taking on Sean Long, and Sean Long gets to him second occasion. That's the last tackle for the Catalan Dragons. There's Greenshields, good ball back on the inside, but good defence on that occasion from Chris Flannery, and that comes to nothing.
It'll lift their spirits. It'll lift their spirits as well. They went for the power play. Not so sure that the coach wanted that. But they've got St Helens in their own quarter. They'll keep them down on that red zone. They've got to make sure the defence is there. But this fellow's a handful, isn't he?
Well, he's been outstanding. He's been an outstanding servant to St Helens. Over 400 starting appearances, Kieran Cunningham. And he seems to be like a good bottle of your red wine, Steve-O. He's getting better with age. Good play, Gilmore. Here is Talau. Oh dear.
I'm not so sure Gilmore was expecting that, and you could see he was saying, why didn't you run a little bit further into it, then I'll come on to it. Not the best there from Willie Talau. A little bit scrappy play. On the second occasion, they've just gone out on the fringe there on the Catalans' defence.
So Maguire will feed this scrum. Casey Maguire, another man who's been absent for much of the season, missed 8 games earlier on. He had a fractured cheekbone against Leeds in February. This now is Greenshields.
Second, hands out, go.
And Alex Chan will take the ball forward. Good leg drive from the prop forward Chan.
This is where the likes of Thomas Bosk and Casey Maguire have got to start combining, try and just ask a few questions to the defence, and they're doing that.
Maguire will play the ball here. Gorrell and the big man Ferriel on the charge. Inching towards that St Helens line. This is the last tackle for Catalan Dragons, this set of 6. Maguire with the kick, looking for Croker. All he finds is Francis Mellick.
Great leap. Under pressure. Can be the difference, you know, and it has been over the years for this St Helens outfit, is the ability that when there's a kick, when there's someone to defuse it, they're solid. They're full of confidence in doing it. No second chances, it's mine.
Cunningham again for St Helens. He finds Graham. Short ball to Gilmore, then wide to Tallow. That looked forward to Mellick. And Adam Morgan to Jason Croker deal with him on the last tackle. St Helens here. Back it goes to Long. Long will hoist the kick high and deep. Good kick too. Well claimed. Very well claimed that by Dimitri Pello.
Move match. Hold James. Go.
St Helens just look like they can cut loose any time with the ball, and the speed of the line and getting off the front foot and trying to dominate this Catalan side. Probably Catalan could look at St Helens and say, this is what we've got to do, because they're not winning the floor, they're not winning initial contact. And with guys like Jerome Guisset on, they need him to really step up and lead from the front.
Guisset, a 72nd appearance for him. No one has played more for the Catalan Dragons, and he is their most experienced Super League player. 234th Super League appearance. Formerly with Warrington and Wigan. Here's a problem, though, for Aaron Gorrell, by the looks of things.
He got hammered to the ground in the tackle. It's the shoulder. Look how they just bounce him down. Ooh. The big frame of Kalis right over the top. It could be a shoulder problem. Or hopefully it's just winded. Tough cookies. You have to be if you wear the number 9. Especially with this guy flopping all over you.
No, you've got to play it. You've got to play it. Nice try. Move back.
Aaron Gorrell has to play the ball as he has now recovered from whatever the problem was. So that's what he does, and here is Maguire, who hoists the kick again. Wellens is underneath it. Wellens claims it. Katabi with the tackle.
Unbelievable take there by Wellens. It was a wonderful high kick.
Melly! All down by Jason Croker. The grand old man of Super League 13, Jason Croker. Croker at 35 years of age. And Gilmore is grounded on the 40-metre line for St Helens. Cunningham to Graham.
They just wind this guy up, don't they, Graham? Like a tick-tock clock. Just go out there and do it. Good run in there from Price. This is where you need to quick play the ball.
And there it was. Here's Cunningham. Got no support now. He has down the right. There was nothing coming left. Long with the kick into the arms of Katabi.
First. I'm waiting. Wait. Go.
And Maguire's the dummy half this time. Goes in field to Greenshields, the full-back. Won the Man of the Match award in the Millennium Magic match against Harlequins.
They'll be pretty happy, the French outfit, to realise that they have taken the sting out of the Saints. Started very early with that Flannery try. It looked as though they were going to be overwhelming their opposition. But slowly but surely they got back into the game. Full credit to them. It's a good kick.
You know, if Kieran Cunningham never touched the ball when Saints had possession, you'd still pick him for his defensive effort. He's just so solid. When any players get close to him, I think really the confidence that St Helens get in the defensive effort really centres around his presence in the middle of the field and around that ruck area. I think that, and I mentioned this before, some players have an ability to lift the teammates. Cunningham certainly inspires and lifts the confidence of Saints in the defence.
He does, and of course when he has run his course after 20 minutes or thereabouts, there is the effervescent James Roby to come off the bench and replace him.
It's like a Chinese torture, isn't it? Only they just changed the tactics slightly. There he is.
The Man of Steel. Remarkable, really, that he got the Man of Steel award last year. He only made 12 starts, but he made such an impact when he came on, and one of the criteria for Man of Steel is the impact that the players make during the course of the season, and no one was adjudged to have made greater impact than James Roby. This is long, good ball to Kalis, short pass to Wellens. Hauled down by Guisset. Cunningham.
Could have been penalised there.
High kick from John Wilkin. Gardner's after this. He looks the keenest, he looks the most interested. Balls bounce, they're in trouble. But Dimitri Pello runs the ball dead.
Well, that went so high. Must have been a bit of ice wrapped around the football. It was a massive thing. Gardner couldn't get a fingertip to it. Pello just did in the end.
Okay, ready to go.
And the pressure.
Aidy Gardner, 13 tries, was hunting 14th there. Goal line dropout from the Catalan Dragons, only to the 40-metre line with Price, and he is Graham hitting the ball at pace. Cunningham at dummy half. Gilmore. This is a dangerous set of 6 now for the Catalan Dragons. St Helens so close to their line. With Cunningham and Price, lovely step. On one knee, gets the ball to Cunningham. Try for Kieran Cunningham. A lovely step from Leon Price. Cunningham in support. His 3rd try of the campaign. Man who captained the St Helens team in the Challenge Cup final against the Catalan Dragons last year has come up with the 2nd Saints try here. And that all came about after the goal line dropout that St Helens forced with that high kick from John Wilkin.
There's one thing doing a step to fool the opposition, but there's another thing by doing a step at full speed. Gets you through the half break, and when you've got a support player like Kieran Cunningham, it was always going to be a try. Little run around, touched it twice. When it gets it the 3rd time, it's got TRY written all over it. That is top quality. Excellent play.
We've just seen Kieran Cunningham's 158th touchdown for St Helens, his only club. And Long, well, he missed with the first one. Will he find the mark with this? Yes, he will. 10-0, St Helens ahead. Looking ominous again for Catalan Dragons. Cunningham with the 2nd try. 16 times a Great Britain international. 11 times he's pulled on the red jersey of Wales. And a wonderful, wonderful servant to this club. Down to Bill.
Yeah, and the problem's mounting for the Catalan Dragons, we saw Aaron Gorrell go down with a shoulder injury. He's tried to continue. In fact, when Cunningham went in for that try, it was Gorrell attempting the tackle. As Cunningham celebrated, Gorrell was left on the ground, still clutching his shoulder, and they have actually taken him from the field.
So it doesn't get any easier for Catalan Dragons. 22 minutes gone. St Helens with a 10-0 advantage. And now without their hooker, and there he goes off the field. Aaron Gorrell needs some attention below ground.
They also need field position as well to the Catalans. It's been very sparse out there, only 2 real occasions to have an opportunity to score a try.
They've got Kieran Cunningham in defence, haven't they? They've got Leon Price and Sean Long, the sparks in attack.
But all they do, you watch the St Helens set, and this set is a prime example of what is the perfect set. Every time that a St Helens player gets the ball, takes it to the line, there's always someone else pushing up in that next hole. And that's why St Helens score so many fantastic tries, is the movement that they've got around the ball.
The shake of the head there from John Wilkin. Looks like he's not terribly impressed with the kick.
I don't know why. When you've got a 10-point lead, you've forced your opponents into their own quarter. And the way that their defensive qualities have been, especially over the past 3 or 4 weeks, they can shake off and make the opposition come up with the error, force the ball. And they don't look too excited about getting on with the game, the Catalans, at the moment.
You know, as well as being a fantastically gifted team, St Helens, both in attack and defence, they've conceded, prior to today, only 92 penalties this year. That's the best. The best total of penalties conceded by any club in the Engage Super League. The Dragons, I'm afraid, are the bad boys. 140 conceded, more than anyone else before today.
It's discipline, Eddie. It's just as important as fitness.
Hold, go.
This is Maguire. Good hit.
Four. Release.
Well, I'm not so sure that's a pretty good tactic, having Maguire, the scrum half, taking the ball there up into the defensive position. Catalans have got to start utilising these big forwards. They've got to start rolling their sleeves up and do a little bit extra work.
Last tackle here. Oh, and that was not played at. The referee says that kick, so it still is the last tackle. That's why the kick's gone in again. He's so safe, Paul Wellens, under those high kicks.
Well, as a kid, I think at Christmas time, all they give him was a bucket. Simple as that. Because he never seems to drop it.
And there's the change that St Helens have made. Roby is on for Cunningham. Cunningham's been at his destructive best, and now Roby comes on against what you would expect would be a slightly tiring defence. Here he is again. Back it goes to Long. He finds Gilmore flat. Air of inevitability about this game, isn't there? The Catalan Dragons spending a lot of the time inside their own half of the field. Lovely offload there from Graham.
Well, we saw last night, didn't we, the way that if the opposition just weaken them, make them tired, they can run riot. Wigan did that against Warrington late in the game.
Oh, there's a mistake.
Knock on.
Mistake from Matt Gidley.
Just overrun it. Had to reach back. No control. Nothing wrong with the pass. Just had a slight little glance there. Dimitri Palo coming to him.
Well, it's a big possession in St Helens' favour in this first half, and they're going to get more here because of the mistake we've just seen. Palo overrunning the pass.
Well, just a panic pass as well, and he's frustrated, is Mick Potter.
Well, next year Mick Potter will be in the home coach's seat. He'll change sides from one side of the director's box to the other. He's looking forward to it, he says, looking forward to working with these quality players, but he is desperate to bow out of the Catalan Dragons camp with head held high. And that's the seat he'll be occupying next year. Here's a penalty, though. Green shields all over the top of Willie Talau.
Well, they know that his defence is in disarray at the moment. Try anything just to slow them down. It's so difficult, though. We keep mentioning it, the way that St Helens can just play the ball quickly. They get up a lot quicker than any other team, perhaps Leeds.
Hargreaves plays the ball to Roby. Here is Gilmore. Gilmore was looking to offload that, and he managed to hang on to it. Roby in at dummy half again. Graham's on his inside. Elects instead to find Wellens further in the middle. Now it's Price. Price gets the ball away to Wellens again. He finds Wilkin. Back it goes to Roby. Here is Flannery. Now it's with Gidley. Brushes off one. Ball hits the deck, goes backwards.
Back
Flannery picks it up, and the referee wipes the tackle count down. You're right. And Roby takes a heavy shot. That was high. Jerome Guisset.
Well, there's no movement with the tee, so this will be another tap. Roby, let's get on with it.
With Price and Graham and Wellens. Spinning Wellens, looking for the try line and getting ever so close. Roby at dummy half. There's the ball to Graham. Easy. James Graham just picked that ball up and spun in between the defenders and sauntered over the line. James Graham, try number 5. Has earned rich praise from his coach this year. James Graham, he actually captained the Saints in Cannes in August 2006 when the Catalan Dragons beat St Helens 26-22. But it wasn't actually Guisset. I think it was Remy Castey with the high shot.
Certainly was number 24. Didn't miss him either. And from it. Watch Graham. Perpetual motion, this guy. He's just offloaded. He's called to Roby, and a little bit of a Texas spin. Neat move. They're all taking dancing lessons. That was very clever.
James Graham.
What a
immense
find,
talent.
Eddie. What a find, this fella. Graham.
Sean Long from bang in front, doesn't make any mistakes. 16 points to 0. St Helens in total control. James Graham. 5 times for Great Britain, a certainty, I would venture to suggest, not wanting to do Tony Smith's job for him, or Steve McNamara for that matter, but a certainty surely for the World Cup for England.
There's a difference with this Catalan side and the St Helens side, the way that they play the rugby. Catalan at the minute are putting themselves under so much pressure. Adam Mogg throwing it into touch. Then on the opposite side, we had Wilson throwing the ball in touch, really not building any pressure whatsoever. And then they come up with a penalty. And you cannot do that to this St Helens side. They're so good going forward. Ball in hand, look at the man supporting into that next hole. It's a big, big asset of the game.
And Jason, come on, all the way. Go.
Roby gets it away to Flannery. That's a good hit, but he still manages to offload the ball. Catalan Dragons don't clamp. Ball.
Come on, go.
Into the man's chest. And Long goes for a 40-20. And it just skipped the wrong side and runs dead in goal.
Tremendous effort, and the way that this guy has just bounced into top form is amazing. His performance down in Cardiff at the Millennium Stadium was, well, something special. 27 individual points, a record against the old foe, Wigan. But we admire, and we've said it before, Phil, we admire the way that this St Helens side can keep the ball alive, but you've just got to see the way that they set themselves up in defence.
I think we've seen a couple of examples. Their intensity to chase kicks as well really puts pressure on their opponents. And I suppose that's the start of your defence, isn't it? Whenever your teammates kicks the ball, instantly they switch and put on their defensive heads and try and put their opponents under as much pressure as possible. Catalan side, more than most in Super League, are reliant on being close to their opponent's line to score tries. They haven't been there tonight. That's the reason why the scoreboard still says 0 next to their name.
And their kicking game has been poor. Each and every one of the kicks has gone straight down the throat of either Adi Gardner, Francis Melly or Paul Wellens. Half an hour gone and it's 16-0.
To be fair to them, Eddie, I think they are playing into a pretty stiff breeze. Wouldn't call it a gale force wind, but the ball has been held up to it. They'll get that advantage, of course, in the second half, but they'll be very pleased when the hooter goes for half-time. Mick Potter, their coach, will want to sort a few things out. The defensive line, a few of them are coming up, some are staying back. That means that your defence is off guard. That's a poor kick.
It was. That was not James Roby at his best. The kick straight into the arms of Thomas Bosk. It was more of a stab from Roby rather than a proper kick. That never followed through at all.
A gift. Thank you.
Just a dink. Maguire. Guisset. Drive forward by Jamal Fakir.
They're just not dominant, are they? About 5 or 6 weeks ago, the French side, their forwards were outstanding. They were just, you couldn't stop them. They were eager to, they were pushing people out of the way to get to the football. Now, they're just taking it in turns.
And they started this set of possession on the 40-metre line, which means that they've made, what, about 15 metres in the 5 tackles they've had the ball. That's, again, the indication of Saints' effort in defence.
Another poor kick, straight into the arms of Melly, and he'll start Wellens off on a run, up centre field.
But why doesn't Mick Potter get the message out? Kick the damn thing onto the floor, keep it low.
Well, as well, when you're going forward like that and you're not gaining any field position, as they give away a penalty again here. Jamil Fakir, was it?
Well, they were all offside.
But just talking about the building, the pressure, probably Catalan just needed to just tic-tac up the middle of the pitch, hit one prop just hitting off the rope, another prop hitting off the rope, instead of trying to play off a 2 pass out wide. They're not going to gain any momentum going forward.
And 6-1 in the penalty count is not clever for Catalan Dragons. Here is Price, and this now is Talau.
Second, movement, Jason. Hold.
Talau stands and plays the ball to Roby. Roby to Long. Short ball to Bryn Hargreaves. Down he goes.
Set, wait, go.
Here's Wilkin. Catalan Dragons muscling up in defence. They have to. Roby, Long, dabs the ball to the in-goal area. Oh, and that was knocked forward, I think. That's a little knock-on by Yunus Katabi. Just went underneath his body.
Well, that just demonstrates what I was talking about, why Catalans have not been putting the ball onto the ground itself. it causes all sorts of problems. You can come up with the error like we've just seen from Younes Katabi. 4 or 5 kicks by the French outfit have been poor. Forced the error, they're under pressure.
They're under real pressure here.
I reckon they'll break as well.
Wilkin from the base of the scrum to Wellens. Again, he turns his back on the defender, spins, tries to get away from him. A little push then also by Green Shields. This is Price, who got the ball away to Flannery. They're all scampering in. Oh,
he's lost it.
Knock on by Flannery. Everybody was scampering in behind Flannery then. They all really fancied it. And Flannery just had a little rush of blood.
Lost control. Shakes his head. Not too impressed. Leon Price, he was already, by the time that Flannery had been tackled, he was organising the next move, the set move, along with his halfback Sean Long. That's another thing that impresses me about this Saints outfit, is that they talk to each other all the time. Communication is superb. And a bit of a knock, looks like a broken nose for Lee Gilmore. He's in the wards today.
Ooh, that was well picked up by Maguire. Good ball back on the inside too. Oh, well, I think that might have been a nasty clash of heads for Lee Gilmore. Kick downfield is by Maguire. That's better. It got at least behind Melly. He finds Wellens, and the chasers arrived.
Well, normally you'd be, there's the incident where Gilmore really has right on the schnoz, but when you're 16 points up, you don't really have to look for the kicking game to utilise this strong wind. In a normal game, in a tight game, that's what Saints would have been looking for, but they don't need to, because nearly every time they've had possession, they've got through the sets of 6, but when it comes to the kick, they've always been in and around or over the halfway line.
Here's Price again. Oh, good feet. Almost through. Important tackle that by Carlaw. And Ragan. And Long with the kick that finds the ground. And Katabi picks it up. Wall of white ahead of Younes Katabi. No way through for him. Mogg was dummy half. Finds Green Shields.
Second. Get square, Chris. Let's go. That's it.
That was Gregory Muniz at dummy half, and Dimitri Pello tried to run straight over the top of Sean Long. There were reinforcements behind him. Here's Fakir.
Might bring a bit of spark with Fakir out there now.
Well, they'll be delighted to see him back. He's working his way back into the Super League picture, Jamal Fakir, because he's missed the majority of the last 18 months. Wellens picks up near his own goal line.
That's a better chase. Now then, can they keep them down there? Can they force the error?
Melly, so good at bringing the ball out of defence, this fella. But Katabi got to him. He ripped the shirt off his back in doing so, but he was there. That's the important thing from the Catalan Dragons. Willie Talau. Tackle by Croker.
Vital meters forward, though. And again, look at that third tackle. They're nearly at the halfway line again. And when you've got the likes of Sean Long out there, they can just control it. And, of course, there's a kicking of Leon Price as well.
Pello's got work to do here, because that ball will stand in the in-goal area. The chase has arrived.
When you're a forward, and you can see the halfbacks, especially Long, and we've mentioned Leon Price there, when they can do a kick like that, 40, 50 metres downfield, boy, it takes a lot of pressure off you, doesn't it, in the hard work department of the forward.
It does, Steve. And when you're defending on the opposite side and you've got to track back and you've got to get that ball and bring it forward against the side that's really urgent, like St Helens, Catalan just coming up with a mistake there. But it's a big lift here. As a player, you look to get your halfbacks on the front foot, and look at the St Helens.
Fantastic little run that from Willie Talau. He should maybe have fed Francis Melly, because Melly was clear down this left wing. Oh! Paul Clough goes without it. Paul Clough, probably one of the first names on the team sheet these days. This is his 41st consecutive appearance, but he won't want to see that too many times.
Just took his eyes off the football at the vital moment. It happens. Well, with the amount of possession and field position that Saints have had, I suppose in many ways, Mick Potter would look at his side at half-time and say, hey, 16-0, we're not out of this. And yet, it's virtually been one-way traffic.
And that ball is lost again. The referee will play the first knock-on, which means it's head and feed at the scrum to St Helens. And St Helens very quick there to form the scrum, so as the referee would call time off here.
Good hit from Flannery. The way that Flannery is playing, he must be giving a few little hints to the international selectors.
And a mistake from Flannery.
Put the mocker on him.
Who's he going to play for, Steve-O, by the way, internationally?
Sorry?
Who's Chris Flannery going to play for? Is he Irish or
Well, it
Scottish
doesn't matter these days. They change overnight, don't they? Doesn't matter.
Well, that's an escape for the Catalan Dragons. Can they? No, they can't.
Dearly
Say,
me.
can they capitalise on it? They can't. Don't think St Helens will be in much of a rush this time to form this scrum. 10 seconds remaining. We'll soon have the half-time siren. Mick Potter and Daniel Anderson can get to their men and
He'd be
offer
disappointed.
some words of advice.
He'd be disappointed, Eddie. It's been a very poor showing from them.